Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrachatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradaite Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Few points from yesterday.
So we started our discussion with the difference between Seva Aprad and Nama Aprad. Seva Aprads are the one which are unintentionally performed and Nama Aprads are the one which are intentionally performed. So Vishnu Chakra Thakur says, if one is performing Seva Aprads intentionally, that means they are counted in the category of Nama Aprads.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Rick, suppose you said that the holy name is just like sun, and because we see that sometimes sun is getting covered by cloud, so this cloud represents the anarthas. So due to which we are not able to see the complete effect of the holy name.
Okay, clouds and what else is there?
Fog.
Mist of ignorance.
Yeah.
Mist of
Okay, good.
So this cloud of anarthas, then it comprises of three things as you discussed: Hridaya Daurvalya, Aparad, and Asat Trishna. Hankering for material things. It is Asat Trishna.
And ignorance?
Ignorance basically is comprising of four aspects: Swatattva Vibhrama, Paratattva Vibhrama, Bhakti Tattva Vibhrama, and Bhakti Pratikula Vastu Tattva Vibhrama.
Okay, good. Ujjwal,
You told about this chanting, So effect of chanting happens only when you are able to hear that names. If you are not able to hear, then there is no impact. So we should allow to hear.
Attentive hearing.
Sadhuninda. About Sadhuninda also you said. Who is
Sadhuninda, okay, somebody else.
Guruji, when we commit offenses, that time Bhakti Devi is displeased. That time mercy is withdrawn and we loses the taste.
Right.
So the solution you told that when a serious student takes the shelter of the bona fide spiritual master, then by the force of his effective spiritual practices, he can remove the obstruction blocking his.
Right. Serious spiritual practices. Shukla Mahabhu?
Sadhuninda, one more part that we discussed on how to get rid of this Sadhuninda. Basically, we should, when somebody is doing Ninda, basically we should be able to defeat in argument for the Nindak, and otherwise we should commit suicide, one can take his own life. And third is leave that particular place. But in that case of doing our own suicide, we said that if a Vaishnava does it, then it's a Brahma Hatya. So for Shudras and Vaishyas, it is there, and for Kshatriyas, the means is that they can defeat the Nindaka, punish the Nindaka.
Okay? Adbhut Krishna.
In Sadhuninda, one more point we discuss. We have to see the primary quality, that is surrender to Krishna, and other qualities we don't have to kind of focus on that, and that should not be the reason to blaspheme the devotee.
Correct.
Hare Krishna. In Sadhuninda, we have also seen, first of all, definition of sadhu, who has Krishna Eka Sharanam, who have take shelter of Lord Krishna, and also who follows the rules and regulation as described in scripture. Also, in Sadhuninda, we should not see he is junior, he is senior. Even if we aparad to senior, junior also, Bhakti Devi displeases.
Correct. Good.
In like we discussed, the devotional service means based on attitude. Like attitude, it means not only external things, how we are doing the things. Like if your attitude is not proper, then we commit offenses.
Right. Good.
3 types of prayers: Samprarthanatmika, Dainyavodika, and Lalsamai.
Samai.
Lalsamai is in Bhava stage.
Bastage. Okay, good. Fine, we are proceeding ahead now. Okay. Chapter 10, Techniques of Hearing and Remembering. Hearing. So please read from Prabhupada's book.
Hare Krishna. So, teachings of hearing and remembering. Hearing. The beginning of Krishna consciousness and devotional service is hearing, in Sanskrit called Shravanam. All people should be given the chance to come and join devotional parties so that they may hear. This hearing is very important for progressing in Krishna consciousness. When one links his ears to give oral reception to the transcendental vibrations, he can quickly become purified and cleansed in the heart. Lord Chaitanya has affirmed that this hearing is very important. It cleanses the heart of the contaminated soul so that he becomes quickly qualified to enter into devotional service and understand Krishna consciousness. In Garuda Puran, the stress on hearing is expressed very nicely. It is said there, the state of conditioned life in the material world is just like that of a man lying unconscious, having been bitten by a snake. This is because both such unconscious states can be ended by the sound of a mantra. When a man is snake bitten, he does not die immediately, but first becomes unconscious and remains in a comatose state. Anyone who is in the material world is also sleeping, as he is ignorant of his actual self or his actual duty and his relationship with God. So, materialistic life means that one is bitten by the snake of Maya, illusion, and thus, without any Krishna consciousness, is almost dead. Now, the so called dead man bitten by a snake can be brought back to life by the chanting of some mantra. There are expert chanters of these mantras who can perform this feat. Similarly, one can be brought back into Krishna consciousness from the deadly unconscious state of material life by hearing of the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay, so good analogy from the Garuda Puran. So just like the person becomes unconscious by the biting of a snake and he is revived by mantra. So similarly, we are also in the unconscious state bitten by the snake of Maya, illusion, and is almost dead. So one can be brought to life by the chanting of the mantra, especially the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So 3 types of Shravan: Nama Shravan, Charita Shravan, Gunadi Shravan. Okay, so these are all different types of Shravan. And I'm sure we have heard a lot about Shravanam, right? Over the years. So this is a lot of stress is being given on Shravanam, especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sthane Siddha Shrutigatam Tanuvan Marobi Ye Prayaso Ajita Jito Api Tes Trilokyam. So this is of course said by Brahma, and Mahaprabhu very much appreciated that verse and said, yes, so one can remain in whatever position one is in, but one needs to give submissive oral reception to the sound vibration. So then one will be purified. Go ahead. Okay, so this is the verse from the Garuda Puran. Next. Okay, these are again famous verses from the 2nd canto. So I'm sure you must have heard them before. So this is 2nd Canto 8, chapter verse number 4, 5 and 6. These verses are spoken by Parikshit Maharaj to Shukdev Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj is showing his eagerness to hear. So let's recite. Shrunvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinatascha Swacheshtitam Kalena Nati Dirgena Bhagavan Vishate Ridhi. Read the translation.
Person who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always thinking the matter always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time.
Yes. So Grinatascha Swacheshtitam. Some cheshta is required. Some endeavor is required to hear. Because in the conditioned state there is no taste. So if one makes some endeavor to hear attentively, then Kalena Nati Dirghena, very soon the Lord will manifest. He is already there, but he'll become manifest. So similarly, next one. Pravishnakanna Randrena Bhavam Sroruham Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna Srilasya Yatasharat.
The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association such as lust, anger and hankering. Thus it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water.
Sharat means autumn. So after the rainy season, in autumn when rains fall, some light rains, then they act as purifying agents. And all the dirt within the water bodies gets settled because of this rain. So similarly, Pravishta Kannarandrena, when the sound vibration enters through the ears, and then one's relationship with the Lord is awakened, and then there is cleansing of the heart. Okay, next. So then after the person is cleansed, then what happens? Dautatma Purusha Krishna Padamulam Namunchati Mukta Sarva Pariklesha Panthasva Sharanam Yatha.
Whose heart has been once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey.
So just like the traveler becomes very satisfied after returning home, at home, so at home there is wife, children to give some service, so he becomes satisfied after the tiresome journey. So similarly, one who is purified by the practice of devotional service, Dhautatma Purusha, one who is purified, what happens? Krishna Pada Moolam Na Munchati. He never gives up the lotus feet of Krishna because he is totally satisfied. So this is what should be the result of purification. So when one is purified, Tushti, Pushti, Kshudapaya. So one should feel satisfaction in the process and one should not be hankering for something else. One is fully satisfied. By simply practicing devotional service, and one doesn't want to achieve anything material. So his only desire is what? To continue to serve, that's all. There is no other desire. How much of a time the result may take, it doesn't matter. One is happy to serve. Whichever service is given, one is happy to serve. Mukunda was told he will have darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after 10 million births. And what was the response of Mukund? Frustrated, right? He was dancing. After 10 million births, I will definitely see. Doesn't matter. In comparison to eternity, 10 million births also is nothing. So this birth or next birth, what one has to do? Serve. Nothing else. Just serve. So it's not that we have to achieve something. Sometimes we, in the conditioned state, we get into this achiever's mode. Something I have to achieve and show the world. Just see what I have achieved. The only thing to achieve is purification, that's all. If we continue our practice, the purification will take place and the devotee is fully satisfied in that. That is what should happen. Not that one thinks I'm successful if I climb the corporate ladder of ISKCON. Then some success. Nothing like that. Okay, go ahead. Okay, fine, that's enough regarding Shravanam. We're going to the next one. Expecting the Lord's mercy. So we all know this famous verse. So we also had some discussion on this when we were discussing Kleshagni. The basic thing is, why does the devotee suffer? So expecting the Lord's mercy, the first thing Srila Prabhupada is quoting this verse. 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse 8. Tatte nukampam susumikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvagvapubir vidadhan namaste jive tayo mukti pade sadaya bhak. Read.
My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim.
Now read from the book, the rest of the...
From beginning?
No, the translation is done after that.
This statement of Srimad Bhagavatam should be the guide of all devotees. A devotee should not expect immediate relief from the reactions of his past misdeeds. No conditioned soul is free from such reactionary experiences, because material existence means continued suffering or enjoying of past activities. If one has finished his material activities, then there is no more birth. This is possible only when one begins Krishna conscious activities, because such activities do not produce reaction. Therefore, as soon as one becomes perfect in Krishna conscious activities, he is not going to take birth again in this material world. A devotee who is not perfectly freed from the resultant actions should therefore continue to act in Krishna consciousness seriously, even though there may be so many impediments. When such impediments arise, he should simply think of Krishna and expect his mercy. That is the only solace. If the devotee passes his days in that spirit, it is certain that he is going to be promoted to the abode of the Lord. By such activities, he earns his claim to enter into kingdom of God. The exact word used in this word is Daya-bhak. Daya-bhak refers to a son's becoming the lawful inheritor of the property of the father. In a similar way, a pure devotee who is prepared to undergo all kinds of tribulations in executing Krishna conscious duties becomes lawfully qualified to enter into the transcendental abode.
Yes, so expecting the Lord's mercy. So when we're discussing Kleshagni, we discussed why a devotee suffers. Why a devotee suffers? Purification. Why? Give him the mic.
Krishna takes charge of the devotee, and just to enhance or accelerate his bhakti and approach towards him, Krishna gives us little samples of his own karma so that he could come more closer to Krishna.
Yes. That's right. So that is one, that's one cause. And what is the other cause of suffering in the life of a devotee?
The devotee might not have completely like his the activities of like activities of
Sinful
activities,
propensities.
yeah, those might not have completely washed off, so they are still continuing to some extent.
Okay, good.
He is little bit dull, matlab dhila ho gaya in spiritual life. At that time, Krishna.
Okay, fine. Yes, so to enhance, to intensify his devotional service. Mulyavadam Prabhu? Okay, Krishna wants to show the devotee that this world is dukkhalayam.
Enjoying mentality.
Okay, enjoying mentality. What happened to the enjoying mentality?
Like when we enjoy, then we'll become master and
Okay, so why the suffering for the devotee? So that he gives up the enjoying mentality. And what is the other important cause?
Means the pure devotee, they suffers because of the disciples also.
Okay, that could be another cause. Okay, the spiritual master can suffer because of disciple. Okay, Krishna is personally orchestrating all this, that's correct.
Also to show the examples to others, even if he has given so much trouble, he is also strict to devotional service.
Okay, okay, to glorify the devotees also, to glorify devotees, devotional service, that's also the cause. One important cause. Okay, could become proud if no miseries.
Some offenses.
Offenses. Yes, the other important cause for suffering in the life of devotee is offenses. And so, we didn't discuss this point yesterday, but the result of offenses, especially Vaishnava aparadh, the anarthas, the material desires. So one of the important effects of offenses is what? Material desires increase. This is we were seeing yesterday also. Everything spiritual appears to be material. So material desires increase when one commits offenses. And so therefore, especially due to Vaishnava aparadh, the anarthas can remain up to the stage of prema. The effects of Vaishnava aparadh can remain up to the stage of prema. Up to prema. Then somebody may ask the question that did Jay and Vijay commit offenses in Vaikuntha? Or did Chitraketu Maharaj commit offenses as a result of which he was cursed to become Vritrasur? Yes, so both the examples are simply the Lord's desire. Otherwise, offenses cannot take place in Vaikuntha or after one has reached prema. Okay? So those examples are simply the Lord's orchestration. Okay, so we discussed most of the points, but we'll go through these slides. Okay, go ahead. So the purpose of creation, the main purpose of the creation is rectify Jiva's tendency to enjoy without Krishna. That is the purpose of the entire material creation. So the Jiva wants to enjoy, Krishna says, okay, fine, try and enjoy, and then watch the fun. Okay, next. Read. So this is commentary to the Tatyanukampam verse.
The punishment for a sinful activity is designed to curtail the mentality that produced the activity. From Bhagavad Gita 18.66, we understand that a devotee no longer suffers the reactions of karma. Since a devotee may still maintain the remnants of his previous sinful mentality, the Lord removes the last vestiges of the enjoying spirit by giving his devotee punishments that may resemble sinful reactions.
आगे आगे जाओ.
This suffering is not technically a karmic reaction. It's the Lord's special mercy for inducing his devotee to let go of the material world and return to Godhead. Since a sincere devotee wants to go back to Godhead, he willingly accepts the Lord's merciful punishment and continues offering obeisances to the Lord with his heart, words and body.
Okay, so suffering may come in the life of a devotee, as Srila Prabhupada also writes here. A devotee should not expect immediate relief from the reactions of his past misdeeds. Devotee should not expect it. Because if one expects, then one will be frustrated. Correct? So expectation should not be there. That now I become devotee, all my suffering will end and I will sleep peacefully forever. No, it doesn't work that way. So one should not expect, whoever one is in the material world, suffering will be there. Devotee, non-devotee, junior devotee, senior devotee, madhyastha devotee, GBC, ABC, no BC, everything. So, so for everyone, this principle applies. This world is dukkhalaya. And the only difference is, as we discussed last time also, the only difference between suffering of a devotee and a non-devotee is, yes, Krishna orchestrates the suffering in the life of a devotee. So Krishna is, as very clearly says that, he willingly accepts the Lord's merciful punishment. It is the Lord's merciful punishment. The punishment is his mercy to rectify the sinful mentality and what? Inducing his devotee to let go of the material world and return to Godhead. So Krishna wants to make sure that devotee gets this realization. What realization? This material world is dukkhalayam. And therefore, Krishna always orchestrates situations in the life of a devotee so that he gets this realization and becomes more intense in his devotional practices. And so therefore, in Krishna consciousness, as they say, Krishna always keeps the devotees on their toes. Means what? The devotee can never become complacent. The devotee can never think, abhi aaram se jeevan jiyenge. The moment one thinks, next day something will happen. This is the way it works. So we have to be prepared for it. We have to be prepared. That's what Prabhupada is writing. Don't expect relief. Don't expect. So actually what we should expect is what? Padam padam yad vipadam. This is what we should expect. We should expect trouble at every step. So if at the next step one doesn't get trouble, one should be grateful. Wow, next minute passed without trouble. Because that is what it said. Padam, 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 padam means what? Every moment is potentially danger. That's how it is. So, and for devotees, Krishna keeps orchestrating these things. So if we think we are expert in anything, if we think we are expert managers and we will manage everything expertly, so expertly that nothing ever can go wrong. But Krishna is always more expert. So therefore, the devotee should never become proud, thinking that I am very expert at this, I am very expert at that. If Krishna wants to humble a devotee, how much time it takes? One moment is enough. One moment, everything finished. So many examples, there's no end to that list. So therefore, even if we make the perfect plans, perfect arrangements, perfect management, but still there are problems. Correct? Sometimes devotees think, oh, in this temple there are problems, let me go to some other temple. No. One can, in that way, one can do Brahmanda Brahmite, one can go on. Nowhere one will find place where there are no problems. Only the type of problems may change. That is the only difference. So therefore, therefore Prahlad Maharaja said that, right? If one wants to be happy, then what one should do? Yes, don't try for happiness in this material world. Wrong place. Wrong place. Don't try for happiness here. Give up the expectation. Then one will be peaceful. Whatever happens, one will be peaceful because one is ready for it. One is expecting any moment, problem, one should expect it. If it comes, be ready. And then what to do? Continues offering obeisances to the Lord with his heart, words and body. Go ahead. Kya?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dana Pranam.
Wait. Let us finish this discussion, then we'll take questions.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Read.
Just as one cannot approach the sun without becoming fire, one cannot approach the Supreme Pure Lord Krishna without undergoing a rigid purificatory process. Just as a legitimate son has to simply remain alive to gain an inheritance from his father, one who simply remains alive in Krishna consciousness following the regulatory principles of Bhakti Yoga automatically becomes eligible to receive the mercy of personality of Godhead and be promoted to the kingdom of God.
Yes. So, without becoming fire, one cannot enter fire. One has to become fiery. So, similarly, one is trying to approach the Supreme Pure Lord Krishna, then one has to become purified. So, it is Krishna's mercy that he arranges the purification of the devotee. So, when Krishna is arranging purification, should we be happy or no? We're getting purified so that we become eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. So Krishna is purifying us. So we should be very happy. I'm getting purified so that one day I can enter into the kingdom of God. Not that only when there is big feast one thinks, oh, it's Krishna's mercy, so nice feast. So even when somebody comes and gives a slap also, one should think, this is Krishna's mercy. Thank you so much. So that has to be the attitude. Okay, go ahead. So this is from Gajendra's prayers.
The king of the elephants was so very eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead that when he saw the Lord coming in the sky with great pain and in the feeble voice, he offered respect to the Lord. A devotee does not consider a dangerous position to be dangerous, for in such a dangerous position he can fervently pray to the Lord in great ecstasy. Thus, a devotee regards danger as a good opportunity. Tatyanukampa susmitchamana. When a devotee is in great danger, he sees that danger to be the great mercy of the Lord, because it is an opportunity to think of the Lord very sincerely and with undiverted attention. He does not accuse the Supreme Personality of Godhead for having let his devotee fall into such a dangerous condition. Rather, he considers that dangerous condition to be due to his past misdeed and takes it as an opportunity to pray to the Lord and offer thanks for having been given such an opportunity. When a devotee lives in this way, his salvation, his going back home back to Godhead is guaranteed. We can see this to be true from an example of Gajendra, who anxiously prayed to the Lord and thus received an immediate chance to return home back to Godhead.
So the devotee does not see dangerous position as dangerous because it gives him a chance to fervently pray. So we all have experience of that, right? When everything goes smoothly, ठीक है, चल रहा है, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But when there is some impending danger, or one is going through a dangerous situation, some calamity, what happens? So then sincerity increases, intensity increases, so all that increases, correct? And that is what Krishna wants. So, but in those situations, the devotee should be able to see that danger as Krishna's mercy. Now we can sit in this nice room and discuss the philosophy. But when one is actually put in the situation, then will we be able to remember philosophy? Therefore, practically always, we require someone else to remind us of the philosophy at that time. On our own, it becomes very difficult to remember the philosophy. Therefore, we require the association of devotees. So if we have the association of sincere and serious devotees, then they will help us by reminding us that how the dangerous situation is also Krishna's mercy for our own purification. So this is what is very important. It is said even a doctor, when he is sick, he requires to go to another doctor. It's a fact. Because he cannot take the blood sample himself, right? Somebody else has to take the blood sample, take it to the lab and do the investigation. So he can't investigate himself and treat himself. He has to go to some other doctor. So similarly, a devotee also always requires the association of other devotees. Otherwise, it will be Bharat Maharaj case. Okay, next. Okay, this is Vishwanath Chakravarti's commentary on this Tatyanukambam verse. Actually the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu verse actually. Anyways.
A secondary unsought result of bhakti is happiness. The result of aparad are suffering. Experiencing both of these results from his bhakti, Atma Kritam Vipakam, the devotee sees this susumkshamana clearly. Su for sushtu, and accurately, some for samyak, as your mercy. He knows that the happiness and the distress that he is experiencing stems from the Lord's mercy alone. It is just like a father who sometimes makes his son drink milk and sometimes bitter
Not
juice.
butter.
Bitter juice from the
Everyday butter.
The bitter juice made from the nimb leaves. I do not know, but the Lord, like a father, knows what is good and bad for me. And thus sometimes he embraces and kisses me and sometimes slaps me. I, his devotee, have no power at all over the karma and time. He alone, by his mercy, makes me experience happiness and distress and makes me serve him.
So the happiness and distress in the life of a devotee, both are the result of the Lord's mercy. So therefore he says, Atma Kritam Vipakam means the results from his bhakti. Whose bhakti? The devotee's bhakti. So because the devotee is practicing bhakti, in reciprocation to that, the Lord gives him happiness and distress. So both are given by the Lord for the devotee. Happiness also is given by the Lord, distress is also given by the Lord. Because the devotee is practicing bhakti. So better to stop, right? Stop the bhakti, no problem. Yes, then one will get even greater. Yes. So, but in any case, so basically the Lord is giving both the happiness and the distress. And so the important point is the devotee sees this clearly. That is the meaning of susumikshamana. So he sees it clearly and accurately as your mercy. Susumiksha, iksha means to see. So when the devotee is going through happiness or distress, he sees it as Krishna's mercy. He is able to see that very clearly and accurately. But of course, if he is unable to see it, then he should take help of other devotees who will help him to see that way. And then is given the analogy of the father. So Krishna is also like a father. So sometimes he will give happiness, sometimes he will give distress. And the devotee knows that he has no power at all over karma and time. Do we have any power to change anything in life? Nothing. We have absolutely no power. Powerless. So we may think, oh, I can do this, I'll show to the world what I can do. Unless the Lord sanctions, what can we do? Nothing. Nothing can be done unless the Lord sanctions. So therefore the devotee always remains humble. There's nothing to be proud of. So he alone by his mercy makes me experience happiness and distress and makes me serve him. So this is all Krishna's. Okay, next. So therefore, he says, he quotes this continuation of Vishnu Chakravarti's commentary. Okay, read this.
The devotee considered his situation in this way, in manner of King Prithu.
So King Prithu, in his prayers to Lord Vishnu, what he says? Tvanmayayadha janaisha kandito yadanyata shastaritatmano buddha yatha chared balahitam pita swayam tata tvameva rasina samihitum.
My Lord, due to your illusory energy, all living beings in this material world have forgotten their real constitutional position. And out of ignorance, they are always desirous of material happiness in form of society, friendship and love. Therefore, please do not ask me to take some material benefits from you. But as a father, not waiting for the son's demand, does everything for the benefit of the son. Please bestow upon me whatever you think is best for me.
So this is a good prayer which Prithu Maharaj is offering. So he's saying, see, I am materially conditioned. If you ask me what benediction you want, I'll ask some material things. So better you don't ask me. You are like a father. You know what is best for me. So therefore you give whatever you think is best for me. Yatha chared bala hitam pita swayam. So just like the father will give whatever is beneficial to the child, similarly, you are like my father. Whatever you think is good for me, you do that. Next. Many times this question is asked that from when the Lord reciprocates with the devotee. So it's senior devotees only or perfected devotees. So this quote is answering that. Read.
This protection is offered to a devotee even from the very beginning of his devotional service. Kaunteya pratijaniha name bhaktash pranashyati. If one simply begins devotional service, he is immediately protected by Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Protection begins immediately. The Lord is so kind and merciful that he gives the devotee proper guidance and all protection, and thus the devotee very peacefully makes solid progress in Krishna consciousness without outwards disturbances.
Yes, so the moment one starts chanting Hare Krishna, the Lord's reciprocation begins. Okay? So right from the beginning, the Lord's reciprocation is there. Of course, the principle of yeyatha mam prapadyante always applies. Okay, next. Okay, read.
Revealing himself daily to the Lord, offering respects with mind, words, and body, passing his life while not being unduly tormented. The devotee becomes the rightful claimant of mukti or liberation from samsara, secondary effect, and pada or service, primary effect. At the Lord's lotus feet, Dandava Dvandva compound considers as one unit mukti pade. As remaining alive is the cause of the good son receiving his inheritance. So the devotee remaining alive is in this world with steadiness on the path of bhakti is the cause of his receiving freedom from samsara and service to the
Right,
Lord.
so mukti pade. So the mukti is liberation from sansar, and pade stands for service to the Lord, service to the lotus feet of the Lord. So the primary effect of practicing devotional service is the service. The service is the result of one's practice of devotional service. And the secondary effect is mukti. Liberation from sansar is secondary effect. That will anyways take place as long as one continues the service. Okay? Okay, fine. So that is about this item on the Sangha of Bhakti, expecting the Lord's mercy. So the important point is the devotee has to continue his practice of devotional service, expecting the Lord's mercy and expecting the purification. So one has to be patient and one has to continue one's practices of devotional service, expecting the Lord's mercy at some point of time. Okay, he had some question. No? Huh? Okay, whoever had question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, I had a question when you were giving examples of Chitraketu Maharaj and Jai Vijay. You told that there cannot be any mishap at their end in Vaikuntha.
Not clear.
Not in the case of Chitraketu Maharaj, but in the case of Jai Vijay. So that was generally just the desire of Lord. That's what had happened. So generally it is told that there is no devotee do not misuse their free will. But when we comes to the purport of Srila Prabhupada, so he shared that he always gives lesson, like it was a mistake at their end. Like even in the case of Chitraketu Maharaj also, Prabhupada writes that that was because of little ego was there. And same in the case of Jai Vijay, he tells that there could not be, they should not have misunderstood Chaturkumar. So how do we balance these things when we share with others or when we hear that that is not the mistake of devotees?
Okay. So, yes, both the cases are the plan of the Lord, but if we just say, okay, that is the plan of the Lord, then what we will learn? We will have nothing to learn from the past time. Okay, everything happened, Chitraketu made a mistake, why? Plan of the Lord. Why did Mother Parvati curse? Plan of the Lord. So everything is plan of the Lord. And what do I do? He says, sit and plan.
I do nothing, that is a plan of.
So therefore, the point is that yes, we do understand that this is the plan of the Lord, because as per Shastra, there can be no offenses committed after prema in Vaikuntha. So there can be no offenses committed. So on the basis of that Shastric statement, we understand that all this is the plan of the Lord. But at the same time, for us to learn as sadhakas, the acharyas are seeing the pastime from different angles of view and giving us valuable lessons to learn as sadhakas. All right?
Yes, Raji, thank you. Raji, one more just query. Can, may I know the reference
Go ahead.
for, may I know the reference for that statement which you told, like at the level of prema there cannot be?
Okay, that's from Madhurika Damani.
Okay. Vishwanath Chakravarti. Thakur?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Raji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
He had some question. No, who is that? Vamshi Dharpur? Not there. Okay, fine. Huh.
Prabhuji, when Gajendra was in difficult situation, that time he remembered the Lord and immediately within the heart he remembered the this prayers also. So when we will be in difficult situations, Prabhuji, that time we need the association to remind the philosophy. So why Lord cannot remind us within the heart?
Say what's the question?
When Gajendra was in difficult situation.
Okay, that's fine. What's the last
by the
statement?
Lord's mercy he remembered them.
Correct.
So when we will be in this difficult situation, that time why Lord cannot do that?
Why you're eating the last part of the statement?
Why Lord cannot remind us within the heart?
Oh, why the Lord cannot remind us within the heart? The Lord is always there to remind us. But the only problem is, do we hear what the Lord says? That is the question. Lord is always there as Paramatma, right? Does he leave sometime? No, he's always there. So Lord is always there as Paramatma, he's always there to give guidance. But the problem is that we also have our mind saying something and so many things are happening. So we may not even hear what the Paramatma is saying. So therefore, we require devotees to remind us. Okay? If one is so qualified that he can hear the voice of the Paramatma, then fine, no problem.
That means we are not able to find that. We are not able to hear.
Yes, so we are not so qualified for the Lord to directly reciprocate with us. So, and even if the Lord is giving us some guidance, the mind overpowers. Of course, the Lord is always giving guidance through Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, guidance is always there. But then when we are in distressful situation, very often we are influenced by lower modes. And because of the influence of lower modes, one gets very much bewildered, illusioned, confused, all that. Okay?
Hare Krishna. So we learned that for conditioned soul, the karmic reactions are under the jurisdiction of Maya or material nature. In the case of a devotee, it is done by the Lord. But is it under the jurisdiction of Lord when it comes it's according to the level of surrender that a devotee has? Or is it right from the starting of chanting, Krishna takes complete charge? Or is it to the degree of surrender
The principle of Yathamam Prabhadanti always applies. Anything else? Good. Next is remembrance. Kaun? Bol.
Prabhuji, you told that Prabhuji in our life, whatever is happening in the Krishna's should see it. But when we find is that there are different levels of association, we see that there are vibrant environment and there is no so vibrant environment. So
Hare
then we
Krishna,
feel that
actually we cannot understand anything what you're saying.
now it is audible.
Better.
Yes. Prabhuji, as we see in the life of devotees that everything is a mercy of the Lord, happiness and distress. So when somebody leaves good association and goes to due to his own karma to situations where environment is not vibration, it is not so much vibrated. So should we understand it is the Lord's mercy? Lord wants to teach me some lessons. And then mind feels that you told that problem to har jagah pe. You may be in any place. So how to fix up mind that wherever am I right now is mercy of the Lord, and from here I should sincerely advance in Krishna consciousness.
Yes, so one is put in certain situation by the arrangement of the Lord. So then, even in that situation, one has to continue one's devotional service. There's no alternative, right? So therefore, if one is put in certain situation, which may be slightly difficult, but as we already mentioned the point, difficulties are there everywhere. So always as it is said, the grass is always green on the other side. Correct? It always looks green on the other side. When you actually go that side, then you'll feel somewhere else it is green. So otherwise it is the same thing. So therefore, difficulties are there everywhere, but of course there could be some differences, but in any case, if that is what Guru and Krishna have arranged for us, then we have to be satisfied and try to find the best association within that situation and try to practice our own devotional service. Of course, as we always do, we have to take guidance and then accordingly we have to do the needful. Of course, if situation is too bad that continuing our devotional service is becoming difficult, then definitely we need to consult and discuss with the concerned authorities and do the needful. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu, thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Last question.
So in difficult situation, actually, when the situation comes, we are in that time. Then we actually, after passing through that situation, we understand that it was Krishna's, okay, Krishna has planned something good. But while in between, we not able to take that much, like hearing and chanting, we thoda side mein rakh dete, then the problems we try to solve. And at that time, here it is said that we have to take shelter of Krishna at that time, so that so how to do that? Like,
yes, what you say is correct. When the small child is slapped by the mother, then the child never sees that this is for his benefit. He's only crying, hey, my mother is so cruel, she's slapping. Correct? The child doesn't realize. I think so we have told that story, Prabhupada tells, of the aunt who never chastised the boy for stealing. You all know the story, right? Huh? You know? Adbhuta Krishna Prabhu, you know? Huh. So what happened? Then because the aunt never chastised, yes, he became a big thief. And then finally he was going to be hanged. So then when the mother punishes, when the child does something wrong, child may not understand immediately that this is for my benefit. And that's usually what happens to all of us. We cannot see that. We think, oh, why is this devotee behaving like this? He's behaving so harshly, this, that. So we are not able to understand. But then on the basis of Shastra, then we have to understand that yes, this is for my benefit. And so if at that point of time I may not be able to see it for my benefit, so then that's why I need to consult other devotees. So then other devotees will help us to see that situation from the right perspective. Susumikshamana. If I cannot see properly, susumikshamana, then I have to take help from some other devotees who will help me to see that situation from the right perspective. Okay. So Smriti, remembrance. Adha Smriti, yatha katam chin manasa sambandha smritir uchyate. Remembrance. Somehow or other, connecting the mind to the Lord is called as remembrance. Okay, read from Prabhupada's book.
somehow, some way or other, if someone establishes in his mind his continuous relationship with Krishna, this relationship is called remembrance. About this remembrance, there is a nice statement in the Vishnu Puran where it is said, simply by remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all living entities become eligible for all kinds of auspiciousness. Therefore, let me always remember the Lord who is unborn and eternal. In the Padma Puran, the same remembrance is explained as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, because if someone remembers him either at the time of death or during his life, during his span of life, he becomes freed from all sinful reactions.
Okay? So this is remembrance. So remembrance means some way or the other, if one establishes mind. That's what he's saying here. Somehow or other, connecting the mind to the Lord is called as remembrance. Some way or the other, trying to remember the Lord. What are some ways to remember the Lord?
Chanting, hearing.
Say that.
Chanting.
Okay, chanting the holy names.
Hearing.
Then hearing. Then thinking about Krishna. Worshipping the deity. Association of devotees. And in that association, sleep peacefully. What to do in the association? Machita madgata prana.
Seeing the energies.
Seeing what?
Sun, moon, all that energies. Prabhupada says.
Okay,
Drinking.
seeing everything in connection to Krishna.
You cannot forget.
Okay, dramas, services, so different ways, somehow or other. So somehow or other, if you are trying to remember Krishna, so that is called as smriti, remembrance. Go ahead. Okay, the next is dhyanam, meditation. Dhyanam, rupa, guna, krida, sevade, shushtu chintanam. That is the important point, shushtu chintanam. Meditation means to contemplate with absorption. Contemplate with absorption on the Lord's form, qualities, pastime, service. So meditation is absorption, skillful contemplation. Smriti is thinking of Lord somehow or other. Okay, so smriti, remembrance is somehow or other, remembering. But meditation, dhyanam is skillful contemplation, means full focus, full focus. So sometimes some services may require a lot of focus. You have any experience of being focused in some service? Huh? Okay, chanting we can definitely try to be focused. We should definitely try. Huh? While studying a book, one could be focused. Serving guests, hopefully. Huh?
Distributing books, Prabhuji.
Okay, while distributing books, performing dramas, yes. So in any service we can be focused and absorbed. So it depends upon our level of absorption.
Honoring Prasadam, Prabhuji.
Yes, that is one service everyone is absorbed, needless to say. So same thing Prabhupada is writing, to meditate means to engage the mind in thinking of the form of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord, the activities of the Lord, and the service of the Lord. Meditation does not mean anything impersonal or void. According to Vedic literatures, meditation is always on the form of Vishnu. And the example that is being given in this for Dhyanam is the Brahmana at Pratishtanpur. You all know the story, right? He was cooking sweet rice in the mind because he was so poor, he didn't have anything, but then his finger got burnt. So Prabhupada gives the entire full story. Full story Prabhupada gives, full with all details. And the other good example for dhyanam is which brahmachari? Not Shuklambar brahmachari. Narsimanand brahmachari. So Narsimanand brahmachari, what he was doing? Yes. The path from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan. So he was making the path from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan, and then beautiful path he was making, studded with gems and jewels and emeralds, and on top of that soft flower petals, and on both sides beautiful parks with fountains and gardens and beautiful flowers and birds chirping, so beautiful. And as he was making the road stopped at Ramkeli. Stopped at Ramkeli. And then he told all the devotees, Mahaprabhu will not go to Vrindavan, he will only go till Ramkeli and Kanayanachala. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was actually going towards Vrindavan, he experienced that road made by Narsimanand Brahmachari, even though he only made in his mind. That is the potency of devotional service. So yes, if one does not have anything, not that one has everything and still one does in the mind, then it doesn't work. One cannot cheat Krishna. Okay, next. Okay, so we know this. Right, so the lesson there is, hey, thoda piche. So Krishna accepts equally service in gross matter or in subtle matter. What is important is the attitude of his devotee. That is what is important. Krishna's bhavagrahi janardana or appreciative of the sentiment. Okay, next. So pure devotion is uncontaminated with the modes of material nature, ahaituki apratiyata. Unconditional devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. Even the poorest man can equally serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he has Pure devotion. And I think so in some class I definitely told that story of the Juhu story. I told the Juhu story. Those devotees who were put in the jail and then they were doing arti. Yes, basically it's all in the minds they were doing. But then still, even the outside people could appreciate the arti, even though there was no arti paraphernalia. So that's how devotional service, no impediments for devotional service. Ahaituki apratihata. Okay, so we're going to the next chapter, chapter 11. Aspects of transcendental service, servitorship, that is dasyam. Okay, please read from Prabhupada's book.
Servitorship. In the opinion of the karmis, fruitive workers, offering the results of karma is called servitorship. But according to Vaishnava Acharya like Rupa Goswami, servitorship means constant engagement in some kind of service to the Lord. In the Skandas Puran, it is said that those who are attached to ritualistic activities, the four orders of social life and the four orders of spiritual life are considered devotees. But when devotees are actually engaged in offering service to the Lord directly, these must be Bhagavatas or pure devotees. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities or prescribed duties according to the four orders of social and spiritual life are not actually pure devotees. But still, because they are offering the result to the Lord, they are accepted as devotees. When one has no such desire but acts spontaneously out of love of God, such a person must be accepted as a pure devotee. The conditioned souls who have come into contact with the material world are all more or less desirous of lording it over material nature. The system of varnashram and the prescribed duties under this system are so designed that the conditioned soul may enjoy in the material world according to his desire for sense gratification and at the same time gradually become elevated or spiritual understanding to spiritual understanding. Under these prescribed duties of varna and ashram, there are many activities which belong to devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Those devotees who are householders accept Vedic ritualistic performance as well as prescribed duties of devotional service because both are meant for satisfying Krishna. When householder devotees perform some Vedic ritualistic duties, they do so to satisfy Krishna. As we have previously discussed, any activity aiming at satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is considered devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami describes one who is fit for becoming engaged in devotional service. He says that person who are neophytes and who have developed a little love of Godhead are not interested in the activities of sense gratification in proportion to their devotion. But if there is still some attraction for sense gratifying activities, then the result of such activities should be offered to Krishna. This is also called engagement in the service of the Lord, with the Lord as the master and the worker as the servant. In the Naradiya Puran, there is a statement of how this servitorship is transcendental. It is said there that a person who is constantly engaged in devotional service by his body, mind, and words, or even a person who is not practically engaged but is simply desiring to be so, is considered to be liberated.
Okay, so he says dasyam is of two types, karmarpanam and kenkaryam. So karmarpanam is of two types, offering fruits of varnashram, that's karma, and offering the 9 main devotional activities, that is Navvidha Bhakti. And kenkaryam means direct devotional service in the mode of the Lord's personal servant. Okay, so these are the types of dasyam. Okay, now go ahead. Read.
Karmarpanam. Offering one's activities to the Lord, Karmarpanam, has 2 subdivisions. Offering the fruits of one's prescribed duties in Varnashrama and offering direct service within the 9 main process of devotional service. Some teachers accept both subdivisions as bona fide forms of servitorship in sadhana bhakti. Our acharyas, however, do not. Pure devotional service must be free from work born of fruitive desire. Therefore, our acharyas do not accept offering the fruits of one's prescribed duties as a bona fide item of sadhana bhakti. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary to Brahma Samhita text 61 purports this. He says that offering one's activities in Varnashrama is known as Gauna Dharma, subsidiary devotional activity. Such activities are not directly bhakti, although they may be indirectly conducive to devotional service. Lord Krishna confirms the same point in Srimad Bhagavatam 11, Canto 25th chapter, 23rd verse. As explained in the BBT commentary on this verse, ordinary work performed as an offering to God without desire for the result is understood to be in the mode of goodness, whereas activities of devotional service such as chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord are transcendental forms of work beyond the modes of nature. Srila Prabhupada says, in the opinion of the karmis, Prutivargas, offering the results of karma is called servitorship. But according to Vaishnavacharyas like Srila Rupa Goswami, servitorship means constant engagement in some kind of service to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada reconciles the two opinions. Those who are engaged in productive activities or prescribed duties according to the four orders of social and spiritual life are not actually pure devotees. But still, because they are offering the result to the Lord, they are accepted as devotees. When one has no such desire but acts spontaneously out of love of God, such a person must be accepted as a pure devotee.
Okay, so offering the fruits of Varnashram is technically called what? Karma Yoga, correct? So if he's offering all the fruits, so he can at the most be Nishkam Karma Yogi, offering all the fruits of one's activities. But that is not actually equivalent to bhakti. Though definitely that is conducive to practice of devotional service, and especially if he's offering the fruits directly to Bhagavan, then that is technically called as Bhagvat Arpita Nishkam Karma Yoga. So this type of Bhagavad Arpita Nishkam Karma Yoga is definitely very conducive to come to the platform of pure devotional service, but it cannot be totally called as pure devotional service. And so therefore, the Vaishnavacharyas are saying that cannot be put under Dasyam, because this is an anga of, Dasyam is an anga of pure devotional service, right? Sadhana Bhakti. Sadhana Bhakti is pure devotional service. So therefore, that is not being accepted. But on the other hand, the Navvidha Bhakti, direct Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, these activities are considered to be Dasyam. Is this point clear? And so Srila Prabhupada reconciles by saying they're not actually pure devotees. Okay, so they're definitely some type of devotees, you can say mixed devotees, but they're not to be considered as pure devotees. Okay, good. Then Kainkaryam, read.
Kainkaryam. In the first type of servitorship, Karmarpanam, one performs direct devotional service. In the second type of servitorship, Kainkaryam, one performs direct devotional service in the mode of Lord's personal attendant. The distinction lies in the attitude of the performer, not in the activities themselves. Even if one engages in the 9 processes of direct devotional service, his activity is karmarpanam, unless he serves with very deep concentration in the mode of a personal attendant of the Lord. Quoting the famous verse from Naradiya Purana, Srila Rupa Goswami describes this mode of tireless endeavor to serve Krishna with body, mind and words. Ihayasya hare dasya karmana manasagira nikilashvapyavastaso jivan mukta sauchyate. A person acting in the service of Krishna with body, mind, intelligence and words is a liberated person even within the material world, although he may be engaged in many so-called material activities. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhulila 11.89. This illustrates how a devotee in Kainkaryam constantly engages everything mind, body and words in the Lord's personal service.
So Kainkaryam. So Kinkar means Kim Karomiti iti Kinkar. What can I do for you, sir? That is meaning of Kinkar. And then asking is one thing and doing it also. Not just asking and not doing. So that is meaning of Kinkar, servants. Obedient servants, that is Kinkar. So Kainkarya means simply acting in the mode of a personal attendant of the Lord. So that means whatever the Lord tells, servant is fully ready to do it immediately, without any hesitation, without any grudges. No. Whatever service is told, yes, sir. There is one verse in the third canto where Swayambhu Manu is speaking to Kardamuni. And there he says that, so when spiritual master orders the disciple or the father orders the son, he has to respond by saying, yes, sir. If it says no, then he is fallen. So that should be the attitude. So therefore, the main difference here is in the attitude. So the attitude in Kenkaryam is, I'm simply your menial servant. Please order me as you desire. That is Kenkari. Okay? So then he's as good as liberated even while living in the material world, because he's totally engaging body, mind, words in the Lord's service. Okay? So that's about Dasyam. Any questions?
Guruji, you were mentioning that this hearing, chanting, all this falls under the pure devotional service. But there should be some guiding spiritual master who is basically guiding in those aspects.
Definitely.
Because if I do it on my own, then it won't be.
See, those things are understood. Devotional service, that's why the definition of pure devotional service already Rupa Goswami has given. That's right in the beginning, right? We studied. Anu Sheelanam. Anu means what? Following. That has already been defined. So that goes without saying now. Devotional service means under the guidance of bona fide spiritual. Anything else?
About remembrance.
अरे पीछे गए ठीक है
There is no question.
Some remembrance came.
There are so many, we have seen, there are so many activities by which we can remember Lord, but still we find our mind goes to, so.
Even Arjuna said, Chanchalami Mana Krishna. What to speak of us? So what's the problem?
It is so easily it is said that just remember somehow or other.
Then what else they will say? You expect them to say, this remembrance is very difficult. You expect Rupa Goswami to say that? Then nobody will take up the process if Rupa Goswami writes like that.
Just like 2 days before the one Brahman Patnis, the Bhagavatam that was there.
Yesterday.
So when they came to Krishna, then Krishna told to go back and just do hearing and chanting about me continuously. So there they can do because they have love for Krishna. So but by hearing and remembering only they have developed that love. So our case it is not happening. How? Because
Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya Pitto Patapta Rasanasya Narochikano Kindva Darat Anudinam Kalusaiva Jushta Swadvi Kramat Bhavati Tad Gadamulam. You got your answer? What is the medicine for the jaundice patient? Sugar candy. How is it initially? But what he has to do? Same thing. But two conditions. What? Adarat, Anudinam. So Adarat means attentively. Attentively. So attentively one has to continue the process. Navida Bhakti, one has to continue the process. So this quality, that attentiveness, that quality we should try to always improve. That is the effort which we have to put to improve the quality. Now that chal raha hai, theek hai, chal raha hai. 16 mala ho gaya. If one wants to make progress, then one has to try every day one has to try. Let me improve the quality of hearing, improve the quality of speaking, improve the quality of serving. So every day we have to try to improve the quality. That's how we make progress. Because improving quality means what? Improving quality means what? Attentive to?
Attentive to that
For what?
service
For what?
for
Yes,
purification and pleasing Krishna.
to please. So the more we please Guru and Krishna, what happens? More mercy, more blessings, more blessings. You do the service better, then Krishna is pleased, Guru is pleased, Vaishnavas are pleased. One will get blessings. That blessings will purify us. That's how we make progress. So if we don't endeavor to improve the quality, that means we are not serious to please Krishna. So we should endeavor every day, make endeavor, improve. There's no limit to improvement, correct? There's no limit to that, how much one can improve. That is why we saw that verse, Grinatascha sva cheshtitam. One has to make the cheshta, endeavor. So the endeavor has to be there. So just like Prabhu is feeling sleepy, is making some endeavor. So that's sincerity, making some endeavor. Not enjoying the bliss of sleep. So that's how one makes progress. But there is no separate process. The process is the same. No shortcut, sir. No shortcuts. Same process one has to follow. Then gradually the result. ठीक है? You're okay? We have no other answer. What to do? Okay, next. कौन है? कौन है? हाँ बोलो.
Prabhuji, here this iha yasya harir dasya. Now, kind of for purified devotees or the one who is in process of purification also?
See, we can definitely try to be. So this platform is definitely very high. This is liberated platform where one can engage fully. But then that's our goal, no? So at least we should try. So now it is difficult, but at least we should try. Then we'll come to that stage. Okay?
And Prabhuji, this
Next.
remembrance last. Prabhuji, there is a Gunarup Leela Dhyanam which is mentioned, Prabhuji.
Kya?
This.
So
Prabhuji, we should sit and remember Lord's Leela or his qualities, pastimes, or it is just matter of hearing and chanting, it will happen.
So when we are reading, hearing, what we are doing?
This mananam, how one should do, Prabhuji? Like it is just kind of visualization or what? Where we visualize.
See, for us now, if we read, hear, that is remembrance. So when we are reading, hearing, we are remembering, no?
Yes, Prabhuji, like for example, we are hearing the pastimes of Krishna. Let us say Govardhan is lifting. So I should see like Radha Vrindavan Chandra is lifting Govardhan, like kind of that saying or
that depends
be
on
frank
you.
with.
That depends on you.
Is in that case the mind is more engaged because the imaginative power is engaged.
Fine, no problem. If you think you can, somebody is narrating Govardhan Leela, and if you can try and remember the pastime as it's being narrated, then it's good. It's good. One can do that. So that's how one can engage the minds. But then, what is the problem is? The problem is we are hearing and we are trying to meditate. Now, as we are meditating on the Govardhan Leela, then all of a sudden, then the mind will meditate on how I can be eating rasgulla under the Govardhan hill, and then the mind will go somewhere else. So therefore, Prabhupada says, in Kali Yuga, this meditation is very difficult because the mind is very fickle. So even if one tries to meditate, then mind will take the person somewhere else after some time. So initially good, initially Govardhan Leela, but then it will land up in some other Leela. And very often it is Swa Leela. So therefore, meditation is not so easy because mind is very turbulent. But at the same time, we can try. There's no harm in trying. But then, at the level of sadhana bhakti initial stages, then we all have experienced during chanting. What happens? Initially, we all try to focus. Correct? Then after some time, what happens? It goes somewhere else. So same thing will happen, but definitely. So at least we should try to focus on the hearing. At least we should try to focus on the hearing. If we try to meditate on the Leela, then that is even more difficult actually. It's not so easy. So at least we should try to hear attentively. If we can remember something, you can remember. But what is more important therefore is hearing. Hearing or doing the service attentively, that is what is more important than trying to meditate. Of course, as one's adhikar increases, the more one becomes purified, then the absorption can increase. Then one can meditate. So how the absorption can increase? Srila Prabhupada has given that beautiful purport. First canto, third chapter, verse 44. Everyone remembers? We discussed in some class. Okay, you open it. First canto, third chapter, verse 44. There's the last verse of the chapter, where Sutta Goswami says that he was absorbed. He heard with rapt attention. I heard him with rapt attention, and thus by his mercy I learned the Bhagavatam. Okay, so how one can get rapt attention? Wait. So read that. The one should hear with rapt attention, nivishta.
One should hear
Read
with
from there.
rapid attention.
The word nivishta.
The word nivishta means that Sutta Goswami drank the juice of Bhagavatam through his ears. That is the real process of receiving Bhagavatam. One should hear with repeat attention from the real rapt attention from the real person, and then he can at once realize the presence of Lord Krishna in every page. The secret of knowing Bhagavatam is mentioned here. No one can give rapt attention who is not pure in mind. No one can be pure in mind who is not pure in action. No one can be pure in action who is not pure in eating, sleeping, fearing, and meeting. But somehow or other, if someone hears with rapt attention from the right person at the very beginning, one can assuredly see Lord Sri Krishna in person in the pages of Bhagavatam.
The simple point is, the more the sattva, the more one can focus. Because the problem is due to what? Rajas and tamas. Due to tamas, what happens? Sleep. And due to rajas? Yes, distraction. So the problem is with rajas and tamas. More the sattva, more one can focus. So therefore, one has to increase the sattva by engaging all the senses for the right purposes. That is, therefore he's saying, pure in eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So that means all the senses are used for the right purposes. So when all the senses are used for the right purposes, then the sattva will increase. When sattva increases, one will be able to hear with rapt attention. So therefore, for these stages of devotional service, like this meditation, remembrance is something which is more easy. Some or other we can try to meditate. As Srila Prabhupada very often said, the easiest way to remember Krishna is, yes, to chant the holy names. That is the easiest way to remember Krishna. But meditation is on a much higher platform where there is absorption. So that requires a much higher level of sattva and absorption. So that meditation is not so easy. Therefore, actually we are not advised to do that meditation. Remembrance is fine. But meditation, one should have the adhikar to actually meditate, be absorbed. Otherwise, the mind will take us somewhere else. So, of course, we can try to bring the mind back. All right? Okay, fine. So, we're proceeding ahead. What's next? Okay, read.
There are two types of friendship. Vishwasa, a superior well-wisher. Mitra, a friendly relationship with a peer. Vishwasa. Vishwasa means to have strong faith or confidence in the Lord as one's benefactor. Srila Prabhupada summarizes, the devotee who has confidence in devotional service to the Lord systematically follows all the rules and regulations with the faith that he will achieve the platform of transcendental life. Draupadi is a devotee who sees the Lord as a friend in the sense of vision, a friend of Vishwas, her well-wishers and protector. Since Vishwasa refers to faith in the Lord, Srila Rupa Goswami will discuss the topic of faith. He explains that it has two stages. First, Shraddha, preliminary faith, and second, Vishwasa, mature faith. First, there is Shraddha, the simple faith necessary for beginning to engage in devotional service, which in time matures into Vishwasa, very strong faith.
Okay, so this Vishwas, he says, is where one accepts Krishna as one's superior well-wisher. So well-wisher, somebody will protect, who will take care. And so therefore the example of Draupadi is being given. Of course, we have to understand that Draupadi is not on the level of sadhana bhakti. Draupadi is already on the level of prema. But still that example is being given because somebody is on a higher level. That example can be given for somebody on a lower level. So the Siddhanta is that, yes, one is accepting Krishna as one's well-wisher, protector, and therefore, in those circumstances, difficult circumstances, one calls out to Krishna for help. So that is basically Vishwas. Okay, go ahead.
Mitra. The second type of friendship, Mitra, occurs at an advanced stage when a devotee begins to serve the deity in a mood of fraternity or equality. Srila Prabhupada mentions, sometimes it is found that a pure devotee lies down in the temple of the Lord in order to serve him as a confidential friend. Such friendly behavior of a devotee may be accepted as raganuga or spontaneous. Although according to regulatory principles, no one can lie down in the temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This spontaneous love of Godhead may be grouped under devotional service in friendship. This is an example of Mitra friendship.
Yes, so Arjuna is an example of Mitra, very intimate friend. We see in the 11th chapter of the Gita also, after Arjuna sees the Vishwarup, then Arjuna is sort of lamenting and asking for forgiveness that as a friend, he slept with him together, ate together, joked together, and so therefore he treated him like an ordinary friend and therefore he's asking forgiveness, correct? So that's Arjuna's situation, very intimate, very close friend. So that is Mitra. So it's on a much higher advanced platform, Mitra. Okay? So that's about Sakyam. Okay, go ahead. Okay, now coming to Atma Nivedan, surrendering everything to the Lord. Okay, read from Srila Prabhupada's book.
Regarding the complete self-surrender, there is a nice description in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 29th chapter, verse 34, where the Lord says, "A person who has completely surrendered unto me and has completely given up all other activities protected by me personally, both in this life and in the next." In other words, I wish to help him become more and more advanced in spiritual life. Such a person is to be understood as having already achieved Sarishti, having equal opulences with the Supreme. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that as soon as a person surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna takes charge of him and gives him a guarantee of protection from all sinful reactions. He also instructs from within so that the devotee may very quickly make advancement towards spiritual perfection. This self-surrender is called Atmanivedan. According to different authorities, self is differentially defined. Self is sometimes considered to refer to the spirit soul or soul, and the self is sometimes considered to refer to the mind or to the body. Full self surrender therefore means not only surrendering one's spirit soul but also surrendering one's mind, body to the service of the Lord. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung such a nice song in this connection. While offering himself as a fully surrendered soul, he said, "My mind, my household affairs, my body, whatever is my possession, my dear Lord, I offer to you for your service. Now you can do with them as you like. You are the supreme possessor of everything. So if you like, you can kill me, or you like, you can give me protection. All authority belongs to you. I have nothing to claim as my own." Sri Yamunacharya, in his prayers to the Lord, has expressed a similar idea in the following words: "My dear Lord, I may be living within some body as a human being or as a demigod, but whatever mode of life, I do not mind, because these bodies are simply byproducts of the three modes of material nature, and I, who am in possession of these bodies, am surrendering myself unto you." In the Hari Bhakti Vivek, there is a statement regarding how one can offer his body in self surrender. There, the devotee says, "My dear Lord, as a sold out animal has no need to think about his maintenance and sustenance, so because I have given up my body and soul unto you, I am no longer connected with my maintenance and sustenance." In other words, one should not bother about his personal or family maintenance or sustenance. If one is actually surrendered in body and soul, he should always remember that his only concern is to be engaged in the service of the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami says that devotional service in friendship and devotional service in self-surrender are two different processes. Difficult process. Difficult process. Therefore, such relationships with the Lord can be very rarely be seen. Only for the advanced devotees are these two processes easily executed. The purport is that it is very rare to see surrender which is mixed with sincere ecstatic devotion. One must give himself completely to the will of the Lord.
Right. So this is Atma Nivedan. Best example is Bali Maharaj. So we know the pastime, how Bali Maharaj offered everything, including himself, to the Supreme Lord. And then, of course, the Lord reciprocated by becoming doorkeeper. So, yes, so this is from, Jiva Goswami's commentary. Okay, he's quoting that 11th canto verse. So he gives up all activities for pleasure in this life and the next, which nourishes body and things like that. Okay, next. So this we saw, a quote from the Bhakti Vivek. "Just as one does not worry about an animal that has been sold, one should offer this body to the Lord and be disinterested in its maintenance." So when the animal is sold to another owner, one owner sells it to another person, then the previous owner doesn't bother about it. Then the animal is totally in the hands of the new owner, and the animal has to depend on that owner. So similarly, the devotee thinks that this body belongs to the Supreme Lord. And so this is, of course, a very extreme situation, extreme attitude, where he is disinterested in its maintenance. Like today morning we were hearing about Madhvendra Puri. So we heard Madhvendra Puri. He's totally disinterested. If somebody gives him food, well and good. If nobody gives, fast. We cannot imitate. So if nobody is coming to our room to give prasadam, at least we should go till the prasadam hall. And who is the best example of this in the Chaitanya Leela? Yes, Srivas Thakur, we know. So, yes, everyone knows the story. When Mahaprabhu asked him, "How do you maintain your big family?" So, Mahaprabhu, what's the meaning of this?
Even if no, I will simply practice devotional service. If something comes on its own, then I will take. Otherwise, I will simply fast.
What are 3 claps for? Okay.
Endeavor.
कौन बोल रहा है? बोलो जिसको बोलना है जल्दी बोलो.
Whatever is the need, whatever I need, everything will come just by clapping 3 times.
And if I don't get?
If I don't get, then I will
tie a stone
commit
around my
suicide.
neck and drown myself in the Ganges. That was his faith. That by the time I clap 3 times, whatever I want, I will get. So much faith he had. And so Mahaprabhu was so pleased. What did Mahaprabhu say? Yes, even if Lakshmi ji has to go begging, still there will be no scarcity in your house.
Prabhuji, regarding this, I have heard in the lecture of Gaur Govind Maharaj that he said that 3 claps, why he made? Because he said that normally if you fast for 3 days, we can leave. After that, we will die. So he said that if 3 days no prasadam will come, I will go and down again.
Okay, fast. You can see what's in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. This pastime comes in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Okay. Okay, so that is Atma Nivedanam. Now this is another anga of bhakti which is called as Sharanapati. Sharanapati. So this you can see further down in Prabhupada's book, being a surrendered soul. You saw that? Being a surrendered soul. You read that?
In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there is the following statement about self-surrender. My dear Lord, a person who has surrendered himself unto you, who is in firm conviction that he is yours, and who actually acts in that way by his body, mind and words, can actually relish transcendental bliss. In the Narsimha Puran, Lord Narsimhadev says, anyone who prays unto me and takes shelter from me becomes my ward, and I protect him always from all sorts of calamities.
So that's what the example of Prahlad Maharaj is given. Okay, so same thing, Hari Bhakti Vilas. He who while saying, I am yours, so he accepts the protection of the Lord and he feels bliss. So this is called as Sharanapati. Sharanapati. Okay, next. Okay, this is one of the Acharya's commentary on these verses. Okay, read.
Pure Atma Nivedanam is seen in Bali Maharaj when he gave himself to the Lord. Saranapatti is acceptance of the Lord as one's protector, as the predominant factor. But Atma Nivedanam is making oneself the possession of the Lord. That is the distinction between the two. Atma Nivedanam mixed with the emotions of Dasya is seen in Ambarish. This is stated in Bhagavatam, starting with Savai Manah Krishna Padara Vindayoh and ending with Kamam cha Dasye natu Kama Kamyaya.
Okay, so that is the difference basically between Sharanapati and Atma Nivedana. It's a little subtle difference. So Atma Nivedana means I am making oneself the possession of the Lord. Everything, not only the body, mind, everything, whatever one has, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Manasa Deho Geho Yo Kichumora Arpilu Tuapade Nanda Kishore. So whatever is mine. Whereas Sharanapati is specifically accepting Lord as one's protector. So that's a slight difference between the two. Okay. Okay, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we already. Next. And Sharanagati, we all know the 6 aspects of Sharanagati. Anukulya Sankalpa, Pratikulya Varjanam, Rakshashiti Vishwaso, Goptritive Varnam Tata. Shadvida Sharanagati. So everyone knows these 6, right? Okay, go ahead. Okay, fine, this is the next. So we'll read one anga of bhakti that's remaining from this chapter. 1, 2 you can read on your own. Okay, read this last one. Serving trees such as Tulsi.
In the Skanda Puran, there is a statement praising the Tulsi tree as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Tulsi tree, which can immediately vanquish volumes of sinful activities. Simply by seeing or touching this tree, one can become relieved from all distresses and diseases. Simply by offering obeisances to and pouring water on the Tulsi tree, one can become freed from the fear of being sent to the court of Yamaraj, the king of death who punishes the sinful. If someone sows a Tulsi tree somewhere, certainly he becomes devoted to Lord Krishna. And when the Tulsi leaves are offered in devotion at the lotus feet of Krishna, there is the full development of love of Godhead. In India, all Hindus, even those not belonging to the Vaishnava group, take special care of the Tulsi tree. Even in great cities where it is very difficult to keep a Tulsi tree, people are to be found very carefully keeping this plant. They water it and offer obeisances to it because worship of the Tulsi tree is very important in devotional service. In the Skanda Puran, there is another statement about Tulsi as follows. Tulsi is auspicious in all respects. Simply by seeing, simply by touching, simply by remembering, simply by praying to, simply by bowing before, simply by hearing about, or simply by sowing this tree, there is always auspiciousness. Anyone who comes in touch with the Tulsi tree in the above mentioned ways lives eternally in the Vaikuntha world.
Joy. Okay, so that's the glory of Tulsi, huh?
One small question regarding the Tulsi Maharaj. This we have heard that Tulsi Maharaj is like the Nitya Siddha associates of the Lord in the spiritual world. So when she comes in this material world, when we are worshipping the Tulsi Maharaj, the manifestation as plant. So how to understand it? The different plants in the world, like how the different plants are there. So so are there different living entities within this plant? Like each and every plant is also one soul. So how to understand that aspect?
Right, so so basically, so Tulsi Devi is also an expansion of Vrinda Devi. And so these are all ultimately expansions of Srimati Radharani. And so therefore they are all associates of, basically Tulsi Devi is specifically expansion of Vrinda Devi. And so all these are different manifestations of the eternal associates. So even in terms of soul, then so just like, so all these are basically Shakti Tattva. And so they're manifestations of Shakti Tattva, different manifestations. And as far as the specific soul within the plant is concerned, then we have to simply understand that they're all expansions of Vrinda Devi. Different expansions. Well, of course, definitely Tulsi is also one of the species, no? If you go to a botanist, the botanist will give a botanical name. So can be considered as one of the species, but still, Vrinda Devi is manifesting as Tulsi Devi in this material worlds. Yes, cow is also worshipable. So even if you consider one of the species, but definitely we have to accept as someone very special and counted as one of the very dear associates of the Lord. That's
One more question, regarding this Bhakti Devi, we say Bhakti Devi, who is she actually? Is she Radharani or different personality or like?
So all these are basically Shakti Tattva, the different expansions of Srimati Radharani.
So they are like personalities.
Yes.
They are. Okay.
Yes. Bhakti Devi is a personality.
Past time we hear Bhakti Devi with two sons, Jnana Vairagya.
Yes. So yes, and Acharyas also very clearly talk about Bhakti Devi. So, but of course, basically manifestation of the internal potency. So all these are expansions of Srimati Radharani, helping in the service to the Supreme Lord. Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi, Vrinda Devi, all of them are.
Is there any difference between Tulsi Devi and Vrinda Devi also?
Yes.
They are also.
They're different. So there is Vrinda Devi, Vrinda Kunj, Vrinda Devi. And then an expansion of Vrinda Devi is Tulsi Devi. So the two are not synonymous. They're not one and the same, they're different. Similarly, Bhakti Devi is also different. Hare Krishna. Okay, break, 10 minutes break, and then we'll continue. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, so chapter 12, further aspects of transcendental service. So in this chapter, you'll see that this Panchang Bhakti is covered in this chapter. But then again in the 13th chapter, but along with this Panchang Bhakti, some other angas of bhakti are also mentioned in this chapter 12. And in chapter 13, exclusively these 5 angas are mentioned with specific glorification of each of them. So there's an overlap. This 12th and 13th chapter, there's an overlap. Okay. So 13th chapter, there is exclusive these 5 angas of bhakti with specific glorification. In the 12th chapter, there are these 5 angas plus a few other angas are also mentioned. So we will focus especially on these 5 angas, and so we will go through them one by one. So these are the 5 potent angas of bhakti. Residing in Mathura, Mathura Mandale Sthiti, worshipping the deity, Shri Murte Rangri Sevane Preetaha. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Bhagavat Art Aswado. So it's not only just hearing. Aswadan means relishing. Chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Shri Nama Sankirtanam. Serving a devotee, Sajatiyasya Snigdha Shri Bhagavad Bhakta Sango. Srila Prabhupada says these practices are so potent that a small attachment for any of these 5 items can arouse devotional ecstasy even in neophytes. Go ahead. Yes, so this is what Rupa Goswami says in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Duru Adbhuta Viryasmin Shraddha Dure. Shraddha is what? Dur. Dure Astu Panchake Yatra Swalpopi Sambandha Sadhyam Bhava Janmane. So the power of these 5 principles is very wonderful and difficult to understand. Even without faith in them, a person who is offenseless can awaken his dormant love of Krishna simply by being a little connected with them. Okay, so that's the glory of these 5 angas. That even if one does not have faith, but somebody is offenseless, then he can even get bhava. His dormant love of Krishna can be awakened. Swalpamapi, little connection. Okay, go ahead. Okay, read this.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. It is understood from the scripture that bhakti is the method. Among the angas of bhakti is one of them ascertained as the king. This verse answers chanting the name of the Lord is a principal method. Among all the angas of the bhakti, the chief ones are hearing, chanting and remembering as mentioned in the verse. Tasmat Bharat Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Hari Srotavyah Kirtavasya Sasmartasya. O descendant of King Bharata, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear about, glorify and also remember the personality of Godhead who is the super soul, the controller and the savior from all the miseries. Bhagavatam 2.1.5. Among those 3, chanting is the chief. Among the different types of chanting, glorifying the names, pastimes and quality of the Lord, chanting the names of the Lord is supreme. The phrase Namanu Kirtanam means either chanting the name according to the one's bhakti or chanting the name continuously, since Anu means both according to and continuously. This has been ascertained Nirnitam by the previous Acharya, not just by me in the present time, and because of this one need not ask for further proof.
Okay, fine. So we'll go through these 5 angas one by one from both the chapters, chapter 12 as well as chapter 13. So we'll start with the first one, that is residing in Mathura. Okay, so from chapter 12 read, residing in Mathura.
In the Varaha Puran, there is a statement praising the residential quarters of Mathura. Lord Varaha tells tells the man of earth, any person who becomes attracted to the place other than Mathura will certainly be captivated by the illusory energy. In the Brahmanda Puran, it is said that all the results of traveling on all the pilgrimages within the three worlds can be achieved simply by touching the holy land of Mathura. In many Shastras, scriptures, it is said that simply by hearing, remembering, glorifying, desiring, seeing, or touching the land of Mathura, one can achieve all desires.
Okay, so now there is something more on this point at the end of the chapter. At the end of the same chapter, there is living in Mathura. Read.
In the Padma Puran, there is a statement about the importance of living at the holy place like Mathura or Dwarka. It is stated here, it is stated there, to travel to different places of pilgrimages means to attain emancipation from the material bondage. This emancipation, however, is not the highest perfectional stage. After attaining this liberated stage, one has to become engaged in devotional service to Lord. After attainment of the Brahma Bhuta liberation stage, one can further advance to the engagement in devotional service. So this attainment of transcendental loving devotional service to the Lord is the goal of life, and it can be achieved very easily for one who lives in Mathura Mandal, even for few seconds. It is further said, who is that person who will not agree to worship the land of Mathura? Mathura can deliver all the desires and ambitions of the fugitive workers and of the salvationist who desires to become one with the Supreme Brahman. Certainly, Mathura will deliver all the desires of the devotee who simply aspires to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic literature, it is also stated how wonderful it is that simply by residing in Mathura, even for one day, one can achieve a transcendental loving attitude toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This land of Mathura must be more glorious than the Vaikuntha Dham, the kingdom of the God.
Okay, so now go to the next chapter. And so you'll find after 2 pages, on the third page of this chapter, you'll see again Srila Rupa Goswami has described Mathura Mandal.
Again, Srila Rupa Goswami has described Mathura Mandal. I remember the Lord standing by banks of Yamuna river, so beautiful amid the Kadamba trees, where many birds are chirping in the gardens. And these impressions are always giving me transcendental realization of beauty and bliss. This feeling about Mathura Mandal and Vrindavan described by Rupa Goswami can actually be felt even by non-devotees. The places in the 84 square miles district of Mathura are so beautifully situated on the banks of river of Yamuna that anyone who goes there will never want to return to this material world. These statements by Rupa Goswami are factually realized descriptions of Mathura and Vrindavan. All these qualities prove that Mathura and Vrindavan are situated transcendentally. Otherwise, there would be no possibility of invoking our transcendental sentiments in these places. Such transcendental feelings are aroused immediately and without fail after one arrives in Mathura or Vrindavan.
Okay, so a lot of glorification about residing in Mathura, even for a few seconds, one can get so much of benefits. Simply by residing in Mathura, even for one day, one can achieve transcendent loving attitude towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So much glorification is there. So what should we do? Better close this temple here, right? So what's our understanding? Yeah, so when they become Vaikuntha, when the Vaikuntha activities are going on. So what are the Vaikuntha activities? Serving the Lord, Kirtan, glorifying. Whose glorification? And his devotees?
Distributing prasadam.
Distributing prasadam, festivals. So what is one of the most important qualities in Vaikuntha? Yes, non-enviousness. Envy is conspicuous by its absence in the spiritual world. So that's the important point. So therefore, as Srila Prabhupada definitely said, all my temples are in Vaikuntha. But it is whose duty to maintain the Vaikuntha atmosphere? So if you say our duty, then everyone will think it is everyone else's duty, except mine. That is what usually one thinks, right? Everyone else's duty except mine. Rises, okay, we create nice Vaikuntha atmosphere here. So this is as good as Mathura Vrindavan, correct? So should we still go there to the actual Vrindavan or Mayapur?
Yes, Prabhuji.
It says only if service is there. That's good. Huh? Under guidance of? Under the guidance of? Senior devotees. Yes, one should not go alone. This instruction was given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to, yes, Jagadanand Pandit. He told Jagadanand Pandit, you go to Vrindavan but remain under the care of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. Otherwise, what will happen? You will commit offenses. So, and Srila Prabhupada has explained other purports also, that one should always go under the guidance of senior devotees. That's one thing. Now, so then what's the benefit of going? Okay, so this place is as good as Vrindavan, so then what's the benefit of going there?
Lord has personally came there and performed the so many lila, so it is potent as compared to this place. We are not differentiating, but that is potent spiritually.
Okay, it's more spiritually potent, okay, fine. What else?
To replicate that kind of stuff here.
Okay, to replicate that type of atmosphere here, okay.
No, we can increase our remembrance of the Lord by seeing his different pastime places.
Okay, by seeing pastime, remembrance of the Lord increases.
Many exalted and pure devotees are residing in the Vrindavan Dham. And
So?
so we should go and take association, hear
Okay,
from
take
them,
association.
hear from them, like bona fide.
Bona fide devotees. Otherwise, lot of sadhus. Any other advantages?
To gain faith by seeing the evident pastime places. To gain,
Pastime. Okay.
to gain faith by.
Anything else? Any other advantages of going?
Those things which are, they said that in Vrindavan some things are not changed from the time Lord was there. Yamuna, the dust of Vrindavan, to have their mercy.
Okay, so to get the mercy of Yamuna and all the places. Okay, so therefore one definitely has to go. Now, there is also one place where Narottam Das Thakur says that going to the holy place of pilgrimage is simply what?
Futile endeavor. Shram.
It's simply an illusion of the mind. So then what's correct? Should we go or not go? So on one hand we said there are benefits. On the other hand, Narottam Das Thakur is saying this is simply mental illusion.
If somebody thinks that that is the only place where Lord is residing, nowhere else, that is a mistake.
And also if somebody is going only sightseeing and just for tourist and that is condemned.
And if someone thinks that disregarding superiors and spiritual master instruction and thinking that they'll benefit greatly by going there, is also a wrong understanding.
Okay, so without instruction if one goes, yes.
If someone goes and doesn't associate any sadhus,
That's only sightseeing.
uh,
Yes, that's also useless.
And when I asked a similar question to you once, that you answered, you gave a reference from Bhagavatam, third canto, I think so 20th chapter, that for pure devotees, service is more important than the actual place, but for a neophyte or one who is not sufficiently purified, it is his duty to go to those places and do his purificatory processes and rituals.
Yes. So Srila Prabhupada explains, so how we reconcile these 2 points. Srila Prabhupada explains that for those who are very advanced, who are seeing Govinda everywhere, they're seeing Vrindavan everywhere. So just like Advaita Acharya, he told Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wherever you are, my Lord, that is Vrindavan. So for the exalted devotees, they're carrying Govinda in their hearts. And so therefore it doesn't make any difference. Rather, tirti kurvanti tirthani. Rather, wherever they go, that becomes holy place. So therefore, for such exalted devotees, whether they go to the holy places or no, doesn't make a big difference to them. Of course, it makes difference to others who can associate with them. But for them, it doesn't make a big difference because they're anyways seeing Krishna everywhere. Stavar jangam deki, na deki taramoti sarvatra hoy nija ishtadeva spurti. So for them, it doesn't make a difference. But for those who are beginners on the path of devotional service, then for all the benefits that one receives, one should definitely go and visit. Whenever possible, under guidance, and safely come back. Okay, next one. Go to that list, previous list. Here,
why the word Mathura is used in NOI Rup Goswami glorifies like above Mathura is.
So that's just representative. Okay. Just a representation of all the holy places is being said as Mathura. That's all. It includes Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, all the holy places are included. Okay. Fine. What is the next one? Worshipping the deity. So in chapter 12, so you read, serving the deity with great devotion. Who's in line? In 12th chapter, you see further down, serving the deity with great devotion.
Serving the deity with a great devotion. It is said the Adi Puran, a person who is constantly engaged in the chanting the holy name and who feels transcendental pleasure being engaged in the devotional service is certainly awarded the facilities of devotional service and is never given just mukti, liberation. Mukti means liberation from material contamination. When liberated, one does not have to take birth again in the material world. The impersonalists desire to merge into the spiritual existence to end their individual existence. But according to Srimad Bhagavatam, Mukti is only the beginning of one's becoming situated in his normal condition. The normal condition of every living entity is to be engaged in the devotional service of Lord. From the statement of Adi Puran, it appears that a devotee is satisfied simply with being engaged in the devotional service. He does not aspire for any liberation from material conditional life. In other words, anyone who is engaged in the devotional service is not in the material condition of life, although he may appear so.
Okay. So now you go to chapter 13 and you read the second, third paragraphs. Second and third paragraphs.
Regarding worship of the form of the Lord or deity, Rup Goswami has written the following words. My dear friend, if you still have any desire to enjoy the company of your friends within the material world, then don't look upon the form of Krishna, who is standing on the bank of Keshi Ghat. He is known as Govinda, and his eyes are very enchanting. He is playing upon his flute, and his head there is peacock feather, and his whole body is illuminating by moonlight in the sky. The purport of this verse is that if someone becomes attached to the Shri Murti or deity of Krishna by worshipping at home, then he will forget his relationship of so-called friendship, love and society. Thus, it is the duty of every householder to install deities of the Lord at home and to begin the process of worshipping along with all of his family members. This will save everyone from such unwanted activities as going to clubs, cinemas, and dancing parties, and smoking, drinking, etc. All such nonsense will be forgotten if one stresses the worship of the deities at home.
So, worship of the deities is the Yuga Dharma for which age? Dwapar Yuga. Now we are staying in? Then why? Why we have to do deity worship?
I don't know the reference, but Prabhupada explains in one place the deity worship will help the neophyte to have internal and external cleanliness and then have attachment to develop attachment towards the Lord.
Right. So yes, so basically for purification, so that one can do Shravanam Kirtanam nicely. So if one worships the deity, so one will maintain cleanliness, there'll be purification, the mind will become more stable and purified. Then one will be, as we were discussing, how to be absorbed, how to be wrapped in attention. So for that, purification is essential. So therefore, for that purification take place, the deity worship definitely helps. And so therefore, we can definitely do the deity worship. As Srila Prabhupada said, these two paths, Pancharatrika Vidhi and Bhagavad Vidhi, are like two tracks of the railway line. So they should go on parallelly. So we see that all the acharyas, they also had deities. And so in the neophyte condition, we worship the deities as an austerity for our own purification. And later on, these great acharyas, they're worshipping with pure love. But in any case, the deity worship is essential. And as we already discussed, what should be the caution while performing deity worship? What should one take care of? Only cleanliness? Only punctuality? What did we discuss just yesterday? Offenses, not committing the various seva apradhs. So that is what one should be careful about, and one should treat the deity as Lord Himself. So any deity should be treated as that personality. So that's our personal relationship. So we should, if we have that proper perception, then one will automatically avoid the offenses. So we should become more and more conscious that deity is Krishna. So as we discuss this point, as we get more and more purified, then we will become more and more conscious. But even if we are not so purified, but at least we should try to be conscious. Krishna is a person, Krishna is the deity. And we all know the well-known story of Raghav Pandit and the coconuts. So how he wanted to maintain that high standard of cleanliness. Why? For the pleasure of Krishna. Okay, so that's about deity worship. And so here is mentioned, Shri Mode Rangri Sevane Pritaha Pritaha. Prita means with love, with love. And so Raghav Pandit, he was maintaining that cleanliness because of his love. So he wants to do everything first class, best coconuts, even if it meant going distant place, high price, but he wanted to offer the best. And Srila Prabhupada in his lectures also he says that. So for the deities, the best should be offered 2 times, 3 times, 4 times a day as per capacity. So everything should be the best according to capacity. But that should be the mood, that deity is Krishna. Of course, it applies to all other deities also, like Prabhupada's deity also. So Prabhupada is actually there. So we should be conscious. Okay, fine. What's next? Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. So now here in the 12th chapter, there are 2 angas mentioned. One is the first one, hearing the revealed scriptures. So that's in general revealed scriptures such as Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, Upanishads, Vedanta, all of them. And then of course within that, the last paragraph is especially focusing on the Bhagavatam. So you read that, hearing the revealed scriptures, read the last paragraph in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
In Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 13th chapter, verse 50, it is stated, Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. Any person who has become attached in some way or other to the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam cannot have any taste for reading any other literature. In other words, a person who has relished the transcendental bliss of Srimad Bhagavatam cannot be satisfied with mundane writings.
Yes, so when he develops taste for Bhagavatam, then he cannot be satisfied with mundane writing. Okay, now go ahead. Now you'll find another Anga of Bhakti, recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam among devotees. Read that.
Recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam among devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam is the desired tree of Vedic wisdom. Veda itself means the aggregate of knowledge, and whatever knowledge is required for human society is perfectly presented in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are different branches of knowledge in the Vedic writings, including sociology, politics, medicine, and military art. All these and other branches of knowledge are perfectly described in the Vedas. So, as far as spiritual knowledge is concerned, that is also perfectly described there, and Srimad Bhagavatam is considered to be the ripened fruit of this desire fulfilling tree of the Vedas. A tree is honored by the production of its fruit. For example, a mango tree is considered very valuable because it produces the king of all fruits, the mango. When the mango fruit becomes ripened, it is the greatest gift of that tree. And Srimad Bhagavatam is similarly held to be the ripened fruit of the Vedic tree. And as ripened fruit becomes more relishable when first touched by the beak of a parrot or shuka, Srimad Bhagavatam has become more relishable by being delivered through the transcendental mouth of Shukadeva Goswami. Srimad Bhagavatam should be received in disciplic succession without any breakage. When a ripened fruit comes from the upper part of the tree onto the ground by the process of being handed down from a higher branch to a lower branch by persons in the tree, the fruit does not break. Srimad Bhagavatam, when received in the parampara system or disciplic succession, will likewise remain unbroken. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that the disciplic succession or parampara is the way of receiving transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge must come down through the disciplic succession, through authorized persons who know the real purpose of the Shastra.
So if you're tired, you can tell somebody else to read.
No. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended that one learn Srimad Bhagavatam from the mouth of the self-realized person called Bhagavatam. Bhagavat means in relationship with the personality of Godhead, Bhagwan. So the devotee is sometimes called Bhagavatam, and the book which is in relationship with devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also called Bhagavatam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended that in order to relish the real taste of Srimad Bhagavatam, one should take instruction from the person Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is relishable even by a liberated person. Shukadeva Goswami admitted that although he was liberated from within the very womb of his mother, it was only after relishing Srimad Bhagavatam that he became a great devotee. Thus one who is desirous of advancing in Krishna consciousness should relish the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam through the discussions of authorized devotees. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 1st chapter, verse 9, Shukadeva Goswami admits that although he was very much attracted by the impersonal Brahman, when he heard the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the mouth of his father, Vyasdev, he became more attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. The idea is that Vyasdev was also a self-realized soul, and his mature contribution of transcendental knowledge was delivered directly to Shukadeva Goswami in the manner indicated.
Okay, so now you can go to 13th chapter and read the 4th paragraph. Actually, the 4th and the 5th paragraphs. You can give to somebody else.
Rup Goswami further writes, "My dear foolish friend, I think that you have already heard some of the auspicious Srimad Bhagavatam, which decries seeking the results of fruitive activities, economic development and liberation. I think that now it is certain that gradually the verses of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam describing the pastimes of the Lord will enter your ears and go into your heart. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that unless one has the ability to throw out, just like garbage, the fruitive activities of the ritualistic ceremonies, economic development becoming one with the Supreme or salvation, one cannot understand Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam deals exclusively with devotional service. Only one who studies Srimad Bhagavatam in the spirit of renunciation can understand the pastimes of the Lord which are described in the 10th canto. In other words, one should not try to understand the topics of 10th canto, such as the Ras Leela, love dance, unless he has spontaneous attraction for Srimad Bhagavatam. One must be situated in pure devotional service before he can release Srimad Bhagavatam as it is. In the above two verses of Rupa Goswami, there are some metaphorical analogies that indirectly condemn the association of materialistic society, friendship and love. People are generally attracted to society, friendship and love. They make elaborate arrangement and strong endeavors to develop this material contamination. But to see the Sri Murtis of Radha and Krishna is to forget such endeavor for material association. Rupa Goswami composed his verse in such a way that he was seemingly praising the material association of friendship and love and was condemning the audience of Sri Murti or Govinda. This metaphorical analogy is constructed in such a way that things which seem to be praised are condemned and things which are condemned are praised. The actual import of the verse is that one must see the form of Govinda if one at all wants to forget the nonsense of this of material friendship, love and society.
One more. One more paragraph.
Srila Rupa Goswami has similarly described the transcendental nature of releasing topics which concerns Krishna. A devotee once said, "It is very astonishing that since I have seen this personality of Godhead, who is washed by the tears of my eyes, there is searing of my body, and he has made me a failure in executing my material duties. Since seeing him, I cannot remain silently at home. I wish to go out to him always." The purport of this statement is, as soon as one is fortunate enough to contact a pure devotee, one must be anxious immediately to hear about Krishna, to learn about Krishna, or in other words, to become fully Krishna conscious.
Okay. So this is about hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. We have already discussed about hearing. So the most important aspect of hearing is what? Yes, attentive. So one must be attentive in hearing, and then after hearing, what one must do? Okay, Kirtanam, that's correct.
Apply it.
Okay, Mananam, contemplation, and after that? Nidhyasana means? Yes, to apply what one has heard. So then the process of acquiring knowledge will be complete. So otherwise, it will simply remain in the head and make the head heavy. Then the heavy head cannot bow down. Then one will become proud, like Romarshan and Devanand Pandit also. So therefore, whatever one learns, one must try to apply, serve. So that's how the Gyan will turn into Vigyan. Yeah, I think so you have something to say.
The goal of hearing or reading is again reading, right?
Yes, so basically the goal is to please Guru and Krishna, that's all. Why were we reading Prabhupada books? Because Prabhupada wanted us to. And so if we please Prabhupada, then that's perfection. Then we'll get purified, then Krishna will be pleased. So that's the purpose. Everything else is secondary. The Bhakti Shastri certificate is secondary. Many people think that is primary. Or becoming scholar is secondary. One may become or may not become. The primary goal is to please. Okay, fine. Next. Chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Shri Nam Sankirtanam. Of course, you have heard so much of, every morning we are hearing about chanting. But we'll read some important points here. So, that is, okay, chanting the holy name of the Lord. So, we won't read the whole thing. Okay, read the last paragraph under that chanting.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended that everyone chant the Hare Krishna mantra.
Okay, read one more paragraph before that, in the Padma Purana also.
In the Padma Puran also it is stated, the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is present only on the lips of a person who has for many births worshipped Vasudeva. It is further said in the Padma Puran, there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself. As such, the holy name is as perfect as the Lord himself in fullness, purity and eternity. The holy name is not a material sound vibration, nor has it any material contamination. The holy name cannot therefore be chanted offenselessly by one who has failed to purify his senses.
Yes, so that's an important point. The holy name cannot be chanted offenselessly by one who has failed to purify his senses. So that means more one purifies the senses, more one can chant offenselessly. Because again the same principle. The offenses are due to basically what? The lower modes. That's the contamination. Lower modes, rajas and tamas. So more one becomes purified, then more one is able to chant offenselessly. So therefore, one has to endeavor to purify one's senses. Go ahead.
In other words, materialistic senses cannot properly chant the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But by adopting this chanting process, one is given a chance to actually purify himself, so that he may very soon chant offenselessly.
Yes. By adopting the chanting process, one is given a chance to purify himself. So by chanting, initially there will be aparadhs, but by chanting, that purifies. The chanting itself purifies. And so as one continues to chant, one gets purified, and then one will come to the stage of offenseless chanting. So therefore, the solution to come to the offenseless platform is chanting itself. And of course, all the other processes to purify oneself. Continue.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended that everyone chant the Hare Krishna mantra just to cleanse the dust from the heart. If the dust of the heart is cleansed away, then one can actually understand the importance of the holy name. For persons who are not inclined to clean the dust from their hearts and who want to keep things as they are, it is not possible to derive the transcendental result of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra.
Okay, again important point. For persons who are not inclined to clean the dust from their hearts, who want to keep things as they are, it is not possible to derive the transcendental result of chanting. So as we already discussed yesterday, the cloud of anarthas, the mist of ignorance, all these are obstacles. So if we don't try to remove the obstacles, then we cannot experience the full effect of the chanting. So one should try to overcome those various obstacles. Go ahead.
One should therefore be encouraged to develop his service attitude toward the Lord, because this will help him to chant without any offense. And so, under the guidance of a spiritual master, the disciple is trained to render service and at the same time chant the Hare Krishna mantra. As soon as one develops his spontaneous service attitude, he can immediately understand the transcendental nature of holy names of the Mahamantra.
Okay, so one must develop what? service attitude, because this will help him to chant without any offense. Shushusho shadadhanasya vasudeva kadaruchi syan mahat sevaya vipra punyatita nishevanat. So one has to develop that service attitude, mahat sevaya. So then by serving them, one will get purified. By serving the devotees, one gets purified, and then more the purification, then one can chant without offenses. So therefore, if one thinks, I'll simply go to the dham and chant 64 rounds every day, it doesn't work that way. It has to be under instruction. It has to be as a seva. One has got instruction, fine. Ultimately, whatever we're doing is seva, correct? It's all following instructions. So, if one doesn't have the instruction and one thinks, I'll get purified simply by chanting or reading Bhagavatam throughout the day, no. One has to develop the service attitude and attract the mercy of Guru and the Vaishnavas. By their mercy, one will actually develop a taste for the holy name and Krishna Katha. So therefore, one has to perform all the other services to please Guru and the Vaishnavas and at the same time chant the holy names. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? And so in the 13th chapter, there is one paragraph. So till now we had read, you just have to continue. Similarly, there's a statement.
Similarly, there is a statement about hearing and chanting the Mahamantra. It is said that saints have been able to hear the vibrating strings of the veena in the hands of Narad, who is always singing the glories of Lord Krishna. Now this same sound vibration has entered my ears, and I am always feeling the presence of the Supreme Personality. Gradually, I am becoming bereft of all attachment for material enjoyment.
So if one is actually chanting the holy names, what should be the effect? One should lose all the attachment for material enjoyment. That should be the result of proper chanting. The virakti has to develop. Then one can say that one is chanting properly. Okay, and the last one, serving a devotee or associating with devotees. So here, sajatiyasya snigdha Sri Bhagavad Bhakta Sango. In the Madhurya Kadambini, Vishwanath Chakravarti, he adds two other words. He says, sajatiyasya snigdha satovare. Satovare. So here, sajatiyasya means like-minded, same jati, sajati, like-minded devotees. So that means devotees who are interested in making spiritual progress, we should associate with such type of devotees. Can also mean devotees who are doing the same type of service or inclined to do the same type of service. So they also can associate, and then that will help them. Snigdha. Snigdha, you heard the word snigdha? There is this word snigdha that comes in the first canto, first chapter, 8th verse. Yes, bruhu shishyasya snigdhasya. So what does the word snigdha mean? What's a general word, a general meaning of the word snigdha? Yes, no friction, sticky. Oil is snigdha. Yes, smooth, no friction. So basically, snigdha means affection. So, in our association with devotees, there must be some affection. So, of course, if not for all devotees, at least for some devotees, there must be some affection by which we can actually carry out the 6 loving exchanges. So, actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he describes that the solution for Pratishtasha, the solution for Hridaya Daurbalyam, Pratishtasha, the solution for this is the 4th verse of the Nectar of Instruction. Because basically, when one is not satisfied, spiritually satisfied, then one develops material hankerings for puja la pratishta. So the more there is the proper association of devotees, and in that association there are 6 loving exchanges taking place, which of course very importantly is what? Guhyamakyati pruchati. What is the definition Prabhupada gives for Guhyamakyati pruchati? Prabhupada's specific words are: inexperienced devotee inquires and experienced devotee speaks. This is Srila Prabhupada's very precise definition of Guhyamakyati pruchati. So, he says more experienced and less experienced. Otherwise, if they're absolutely equal, then there won't be much advantage for any of them. So at least the other person must have some more experience in at least in that particular field or in that particular aspect of devotional service that we are discussing. Then we'll receive some help from that other person. So basically in the association of devotees, the Madchitta Madgata Prana has to take place. So in the Dadati Pratigrinati, so the first 2 aspects, Dadati Pratigrinati, and the last 2 aspects, what was that? Bunjate. Yes. So these 2 are meant to facilitate the middle one. So when the first 2 and the last 2 take place, then there'll be a proper environment, a proper relationships by which there is Guhyamakyati pruchati. And ultimately, when there is Madchitta Madgata Prana, then the result is what? Tushyanti Ramanti. Tushyanti means satisfaction, Ramanti means happiness. So that is what should happen in the association of devotees. So that is Snigdha. That affection is not material affection. It is affection with Krishna in the center. Krishna conscious relationship. Because in the outside world also people can say we have affection, right? They also say, oh, we love this, that, some. They also may say. But all that is simply material. And so therefore it doesn't last too long. So therefore if actually there has to be affection, then it has to be Krishna conscious relationships. Then there is actual affection. And then he says Svato Vare. So again that Svato Vare indicates Vare, Vare, Varishta, Vare. So also indicates somebody who's senior and who's able to help us. So that type of association relationship is important for our progress in devotional service. Okay, let's read something from Srila Prabhupada's book on association. So Prabhupada writes that associating with advanced devotees. You read that?
Associating with advanced devotees. The importance of discussing Srimad Bhagavatam in the society of pure devotees was explained by Shaunaka Muni during the meeting at Naimisharanya in the presence of Suta Goswami. Suta Goswami confirmed that if someone is fortunate enough to associate with a pure devotee of the Lord, even for a moment, that particular moment is so valuable that even those pious activities which can promote one to the heavenly planets or give liberation from material miseries cannot compare to it.
You know that verse, Tulyam Lavenapi, na swargam na punarbhava.
In other words, those who are attached to Srimad Bhagavatam do not care for any kind of benefit derived from elevation to the higher planetary kingdoms, or for the liberation which is conceived of by the impersonalists. As such, the association of pure devotees is so transcendently valuable that no kind of material happiness can compare to it. In the Hari Bhakti Subodhaya, there is a conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and his father Hiranyakashipu, in which Hiranyakashipu addresses Prahlad in this way: My dear son, association is very important. It acts just like a crystal stone, which will reflect anything which is put before it. Similarly, if we associate with the flower like devotees of the Lord, and if our hearts are crystal clear, then certainly the same action will be there. Another example given in this connection is that if a man is potent and if a woman is not deceased, then by their conjugation there will be conception. In the same way, if the recipient of spiritual knowledge and the deliverer of spiritual knowledge are sincere and bona fide, there will be good results.
So Hiranyakashipu is talking about association. And he's saying association is very important. But his idea of association is totally different. Why he is speaking that to Prahlad? He is telling Prahlad, take right association, you are taking wrong association. He has a totally different opposite idea. You see how Shastra can be misused? So one can use the same Shastric quotes for one's own purposes. But anyway, Rupa Goswami is still taking it. That is Rupa Goswami's mercy on Hiranyakashipu. He's still using it for a positive purpose. That's Vaishnava. Vaishnava can take anything and use. But that's importance of association. Okay, fine. So I think so we have covered everything. Okay, so now we will just read, so that's about the Panchang Bhakti. So now you go to chapter 13 and you can read one more paragraph. In these statements about devotional service,
In these statements about devotional service, sometimes it may appear that the results have been overestimated. But actually, there is no overestimation.
we discussed this point yesterday also.
Some devotees, as revealed scriptures give evidence, have had immediate results by such association, although this is not possible for all. For example, the Kumaras immediately became devotees simply by smelling the incense in the temple. Bilomangal Thakur simply heard about Krishna and then immediately gave up his beautiful girlfriend and started out for Mathura and Vrindavana, where he became a perfect Vaishnava. So these statements are not overestimations, nor are they stories. They are actually facts, but are true for certain devotees and do not necessarily apply to all. These descriptions, even if considered overestimations, must be taken as they are in order to divert our attention from the fleeting material beauty to the eternal beauty of Krishna consciousness. And for a person who is already in contact with Krishna consciousness, the described results are not unusual.
Okay, so two reasons why. So they're not overestimations because for certain devotees, they are true, the results are true. And even if one considers them overestimations, they are given in order to divert us from material attraction to Krishna. Okay, and the last part of the chapter is describing something about Varnashram. We had already discussed before. But anyways, you can read those two paragraphs.
Some scholars argue that simply by following the principles of Varna and Ashrama, one can gradually rise to the perfections reached by practicing devotional service. But this argument is not accepted by the great authorities. Lord Chaitanya also condemned this idea while he was talking with Ramananda Rai about the gradual development of devotional service. He rejected the idea of the importance of Varnashram Dharma when it was put forward by Ramananda Rai. He said that this advancement of Varna and Ashrama is merely external. There is a higher principle. In Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord says that one has to give up all other principles of elevation and take simply to the method of Krishna consciousness. That will help one in achieving the highest perfection of life. In the 11th canto, 20th chapter, verse 9 of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord himself says, one should execute the prescribed duties of Varna and Ashrama as long as he has not developed a spontaneous attachment for hearing about my pastimes and activities. In other words, the prescribed forms of Varna and Ashrama are ritualistic ceremonies of religion intended for economic development, sense gratification, or salvation. All of these things are recommended for persons who have not developed Krishna consciousness. In fact, all such activities are recommended in the revealed scriptures only to bring one to the point of Krishna consciousness. But one who has already developed a spontaneous attachment for Krishna does not require to execute the duties prescribed in the scriptures.
Okay, so as Srila Prabhupada writes, Varnashram is a stepping stone to spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So as long as one has not developed one spontaneous attachment to the Lord, then the Varnashram system helps one to become purified and come to the elevated platform. But if one has come to the elevated platform of devotional service, then one can give up these Varnashram duties, but that's on a very high elevated platform. Till that point of time, one definitely should perform the Varnashram duties in order to facilitate one's progress in devotional service. Of course, Varnashram are not angas of bhakti. They are not angas of bhakti. They're not in the 64 angas of bhakti, but they help one because they help one to be rightly situated according to one's psychophysical nature. And then that creates a conducive situation to practice Krishna consciousness. So therefore, it helps one to practice Krishna consciousness, and therefore, in the conditioned state, they need to be accepted. Okay? Okay, fine, we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, fine, so we'll continue tomorrow. So there's only one chapter remaining for Vedi Sadhana Bhakti, that's the 14th chapter. And then after that, you can float in the ecstasy of Raganuga Bhakti. Hare Krishna. So is there a brahmachari class today by Kalkant Prabhu? That's at 3 o'clock? Confirm? Where, here or there? There. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Is there class tomorrow also? Brahmachari class? Tomorrow also, same time. Kalkant Prabhu is taking tomorrow also? Huh? Ramanita Prabhu.